What if everything you've been told about dogs is backwards? What if humans never truly domesticated dogs at all? What if, in some very real sense, dogs domesticated us instead? 15,000 years ago, in a grave near the Rhine, two humans were buried with a dog. Not thrown in, but placed there deliberately, as though it belonged. That grave is one of the earliest confirmed dog burials ever found. Proof this bond was already ancient, but not why it began. What it doesn't prove is who made the first move, or which species followed. That's the mystery this film explores honestly, without false answers. In a world where every calorie could mean survival, why would two rival predators ever let each other close? Picture the Ice Age at its peak, vast, frozen, starving, where two hunters worked the very same herds across the same frozen ground. Early humans and a now extinct population of Pleistocene wolves hunted across that frozen world, chasing the very same herds. Independent ancient DNA studies agree. This wolf population was a separate, vanished lineage, and somewhere within it, something quietly began to change. A wolf stops. Across the valley, a human hunter notices it. Neither moves. For a few seconds, history seems to hold its breath. The first move. Confidence unknown. Did wolves trail human hunting camps, drawn in by scraps left behind at the fire? Or did humans deliberately take in wolf pups, raising them as their own? Researchers remain genuinely split. Neither camp has yet won. The Ice Age forced two very different animals into the same shrinking space, where the science turns fascinating and certainty runs out. Long before anyone could read DNA, archaeologists at sites like Bonn-Oberkassel and Coaster had already found the proof in the ground. Dog remains lay buried beside humans, treated with a care usually reserved only for family, not simple animals. This is some of the strongest evidence in the story, consistent and undeniable. Even this early, the bond wasn't just useful, it was emotional. But bones only prove dogs were already dogs by then. For the deeper story, the trail leads somewhere smaller than any skeleton: the genome. Buried in the DNA of every modern dog is a tiny genetic clue, a gene called AMY2B, tied to digesting starch. Wolves don't carry those extra copies. The difference sits quietly in their genes, a fingerprint left behind by history. As humans ate more grain, the animals sharing their fires adapted generation by generation, their bodies slowly rewriting themselves around our table. In the Altai mountains of Siberia, a 33,000-year-old skull emerged from the ground. Headlines called it the first dog ever found. The truth, as usual, is far more careful than any headline. Researchers still disagree what this animal actually was, even now. It was a dog-like canid, caught somewhere between wolf and true dog. No settled definition confirms it, and the debate remains open. So here's a question worth sitting with. Was there ever really one single moment? No single skull marks the exact instant a wolf became a dog. Perhaps the first dog was never one event, but a slow blur no fossil can pin down. For decades, the story seemed simple. Humans picked the friendliest wolves and slowly bred them, generation after generation, into dogs. We believed for generations that we alone were fully in control of that transformation. A newer idea flips that story entirely. It's called self-domestication, and it changes everything we thought we knew. Perhaps the boldest, least fearful wolves moved in on us first, tolerating our camps closely. They scavenged our leftovers, finding food scraps left behind at our fires, an advantage that gave them an edge over more cautious wolves. They pass that boldness on to their pups, generation after generation. Not chosen by us, but self-selected in this theory. It's an influential idea among researchers today, but still only a hypothesis, not proven history. Hold it loosely. Here is where the mystery quietly turns back on us, the so-called domesticators. Compared to our extinct relatives, modern humans show a lighter skeleton. Modern humans also show a flatter face than those ancient relatives once had, traits that in other species link closely to self-domestication. The comparison remains genuinely debated among researchers today, but it opens an uncomfortable question. If wolves grew gentler to survive beside us, did we too? Did we become gentler ourselves in order to survive alongside one another, generation after generation? Here's a fact that unsettles people every time. The domestic dog's brain is, on average, about 25% smaller than a wolf's. So, did dogs become less wild, or something far stranger, intelligent in a completely different way? It's tempting to hear smaller brain and immediately assume dumber, but the evidence disagrees entirely with that easy assumption. Across many domesticated species, this shrinkage shows up mainly in regions tied to fear, rarely touching the regions responsible for general intelligence. The better supported reading isn't decline, it's reorganization, a mind reshaped for a different kind of survival altogether, one built for reading a human face instead of watching every shadow. Less fear, not less mind. Of every great predator that shared the Ice Age with us, cave bears, cave lions, saber-toothed cats, only one made it home. Only the wolf walked all the way through our door. Why the wolf and nothing else out of every predator in that frozen world? The honest answer? We don't fully know, even now. But the pattern itself is suggestive, even without a final answer. This animal was already deeply social within its own tight-knit pack, already built to read the moods and intentions of others around it. That same skill, it turned out, worked remarkably well on us as well. Maybe it wasn't the strongest predator that made this leap. Maybe it wasn't even the smartest. Maybe, the evidence quietly suggests, it was simply the friendliest. It's tempting to end a story like this with one grand, sweeping claim, that without dogs, civilization itself could never have existed. It's a powerful sentence to say out loud, but it's not a claim the evidence actually lets us honestly make. What the evidence does support is narrower, yet still remarkable. Dogs were an important factor in early survival, as hunting partners beside us. They served as early warning systems, alert long before danger reached the camp, and companions through the harshest stretches our species endured. Important is not the same as essential. This story never needed exaggeration to truly matter. We still don't know who moved first. A wolf toward fire, or a human hand reaching toward a pup? We may never know for certain. That uncertainty is part of this story, not against it. What we do know is that two species began quietly changing each other in that cold. Their bodies changed first, generation after generation in that shared frozen world. And their brains changed too, reshaping slowly across countless generations. And maybe even their temperament softened, shifting slowly over time until the line between wild and companion blurred into something entirely new. The dog asleep at your feet tonight still carries that ancient history inside its genes. Perhaps in ways we're only beginning to understand, so do you. Perhaps history's greatest partnership was never built by conquest or by force, but by curiosity.